Hi everyone, I'm Kat and welcome to my channel, Naturally Beautiful Girl. So I'm bringing you what has been a very requested video today, and this is a review of one of the Beautycounter eyeshadow palettes. And I have the Romantic palette, which focuses on kind of cool pink tone shadows. I should start off by saying I, at least at the time I'm filming this video, am not a Beautycounter consultant. I can't make any money by promoting Beautycounter products because the only way you can do that is if you are a consultant. I'm saying that at the time of filming this video I'm not. I don't know what the future holds. I have no idea if one day I will decide to be a Beautycounter consultant or not. At least right now I am not. So I'm going to give you my completely honest opinion on this palette. I have no incentive to do otherwise. In general, I always give you my honest opinion on all the products I try, regardless of if I am an affiliate for a brand or not. If I like products from a brand, I will try and become an affiliate for a wide range of brands. And that way I can talk very honestly and very openly about the products I like and the products I don't like, because I'm not an affiliate for just like this brand or this brand. By kind of diversifying what I am an affiliate for, I don't feel a pressure to talk about products in a positive light necessarily. I feel comfortable giving my honest opinion because it's not like, oh, I'm only an affiliate for this brand, so I have to only push this brand or these products. So I just want to kind of let you know that in general, I am not a consultant for Beautycounter. So in case you are curious about that, I'm not. I did purchase these products through a consultant that I've gotten to know on Instagram. Her name is Mandy Boken. I will link her down below. If you have been following my channel for a while, I've been reviewing a whole bunch of eyeshadow palettes because there have been a lot of new releases in eyeshadow palettes. There's been one from Honest Beauty, there's been one from PYT Beauty, there's been one from Aether Beauty, and now I am going to be talking about this Beautycounter one. And so if you're interested in seeing my reviews of those other palettes, I will link those down below. Also, I'm going to be doing, kind of once I finish going through these, which I'm almost at the end now, a review, comparison, overview of all these different palettes and kind of what I think of them, comparing them, who I think they're best for, price points, etc. So stay tuned for that video. That will be coming soon as well. Also, at the end of this video, I will be doing a tutorial to show you how I got the eye look I am wearing currently. So if you're interested in that, stay tuned to the end of the video for that. I know a number of you have been requesting tutorials using this palette. So if you would like to see more tutorials using this palette, please let me know in the comment section down below and I can do that for you. Let's just take a look at the palette itself. So the palette itself is this blue packaging. I feel like it's like a kind of weighted cardboard. I'm not entirely sure what it's made out of. And it does have a giant mirror, and this mirror is actually removable, which is kind of interesting. I'm not entirely sure what the benefit is of being able to remove the mirror from the palette, but you can remove it. And then the palette itself contains 9 shadows, and the palette is magnetic. So it like has a magnetic closure to it. It's a nice packaging, it's a nice size. I think that part about this palette is very nice. It's a manageable size. It's something that you could travel with easily because it's got a good big mirror and you have 9 shadows. So you have, you know, a decent range of shadow options. So this palette itself is pretty expensive. This is $50. So this is, out of the ones I've been trying recently, the second highest in price, the highest being the Aether Beauty, but this is quite expensive. And I think that the price on Beautycounter products in general is a bit high. And I think it is because of the way they've structured their sales. So because they do have all these consultants, they have to be able to pay the commissions to all of these consultants. And so I think honestly the prices for most of their products are about probably like $5 to $10, depending on the product, too high. That's just kind of my thoughts. I have the same feeling about Fitglow too, that their prices are just a little bit high for what you're getting. And I also think that's true for Beautycounter. But I think that price is coming to pay consultants. And I am testing out some more Beautycounter products other than just this eyeshadow palette. During their sale, I purchased a number of different products and I'm trying those out. I'm going to be doing an overview video with my thoughts on Beautycounter in general coming up, but right now I just wanted to focus on the eyeshadow palette. If you guys know me, these aren't actually typically the colors I would go for. I was contemplating getting the, I believe it's called the Classic palette, which has more warm tone shadows in it. For 2 reasons I didn't end up getting it. One, I thought it would be good to step out of my comfort zone and get something a little bit different because I have a lot of warm tone shadows because that's what I tend to gravitate towards. So I thought this would be nice to kind of switch up what I usually do. Also, this is a side note, is the sale started like right before my birthday, and I'd been asked like what I wanted for my birthday, and one of the things I had put down, I kind of made a list of different things I was interested in, and one of the things I'd put down on that list was actually the classic eyeshadow palette. And I didn't know, of course, if I was going to be getting that for my birthday or not. So, but I wanted to make sure I had one of these palettes to try out because I was really curious, and I know you guys have been really curious about these palettes. And so I went ahead and purchased the romantic one. So that way, if I did get the classic one, I wouldn't have two of the classics. So those are the reasons why I went for this palette. Just to start off with, we're working with colors that are typically not my favorite colors in terms of eyeshadows. This palette itself contains 3 matte shades. This shade here in Brulee, this kind of black, it's really dark gray black shade, and then called Moto, and then this purple shade up here called Smolder. Those are the only matte shades. This one, this one, this one, this one, this one, and this one are all kind of like metallic shimmer shades. And this one here is a very glittery shadow topper. So it's quite chunky and quite glittery. There's really only one transition shade. This shade here in Brulee, I guess it's here. I'll hold this right side up for you guys. So actually, I'm gonna be smart about this. I'm gonna take out the mirror and hold this right side up for you guys. This shade here in Brulee is really the only transition shade in this palette. And I think Brulee was a smart shade to include in this palette because if you notice, Brulee is a bit warmer. It's not a cool toned brown. I like that being added to this palette because it really helps the palette to not become too much of a cool toned palette. It helps it to stay kind of more neutral toned, because when you use these cool toned shades with a warmer brown shade in the transition, it really helps to keep the look more neutral and not too cool toned leaning. That being said though, I think that for 9 shadows you needed another transition shade. There just needs to be another one. There needs to be another option. There needs to be maybe there does need to be a cool toned transition shade in there. Also, because there's only really that one shade, is if your skin tone is close to Brulee, then you're really not gonna have a transition shade that is appropriate for your skin tone. I think only having that one transition shade definitely limits who this palette will work for. Like, you definitely need to be on more of the light, fair, maybe light medium skin tone range, but I think if you start heading past medium, you're gonna run into problems using this palette. I like that they also included the shade Candlelight here, the shimmery shade. It reminds me a lot of the shade Snow Peach from Root. They're very similar. They're kind of like a light peachy shimmery shade. I like that this shade is here though because it's a more warm toned shade. So it also keeps the palette from leaning too cool toned. Okay, so Truffle is a nice taupey shade, but Dusk is quite a pink shade. I have both Truffle and Dusk on my eyes today, and Dusk definitely pulls more pink than what it looks in the pan. When I was wearing Dusk one day, my husband actually commented, he's like, oh, you have like pink eyeshadow on. So it definitely is more pink than it looks in the pan. The first day I tried it, I actually didn't want my eye look to look that pink because I had some meetings I needed to go to. I did not want to be wearing pink eyeshadow, so I ended up having to go over my look with Truffle to try and tone it down. And that did help, but it is quite a pink shade. Flush over here is definitely very pink. It's kind of a light lilac pinky shade. Smolder is a nice deep purple. That's what I use to line my upper and lower lash line, and I really like that shade. Cameo, this is another shade that is deceptive in the pan. It looks like a creamy white shimmery highlight, which is good for an inner corner highlight. But what I don't like about it is when I actually get it applied, it pulls really pink on me. Like, it's a little bit too pink for an inner corner highlight shade for me. I mean, I'm glad that they included an inner corner highlight shade because a lot of the palettes I've been looking at recently don't have that shade in there, but this one pulls too pink toned for my liking. Moon Dust is a shadow topper, and it is like a super shimmery shadow topper. And I'm a glittery metallic eyeshadow girl. Like, I like my shimmer, I like my glitter in my eyeshadow. But honestly, I find that Moon Dust is almost a little bit too glittery, and I'm never entirely sure what to do with it, if that makes sense. I did use it to top off my eyeshadow look today. I kind of applied it all the way across my lid once I'd applied Truffle and Dusk. And this happens to me nearly every time I use it, is after I put it on, I realized that I actually just liked my eye look before I applied it rather than after I applied it. If you have one of these palettes with these like eyeshadow toppers in them, let me know what you think. Like, how do you use it? I'm just not familiar with having that type of shadow in a palette, and so I feel a little bit confused about how to use it properly. And then Moto is a nice black. It's close to black, but as you can see, it's not perfectly black. It's kind of a dark gray color, and I can use that along my upper and lower lash line. As usual, I think this palette is missing a matte cream shade. I'm always gonna be saying that, but I really do wish that this palette had that shade in there. Also, my other concern with this palette is that I wish Brûlée actually was a larger pan size, because, I mean, this layout is beautiful. Like, I really appreciate how this layout looks aesthetically, and I really like that all the shade names are under the shade so that I can very easily be like, okay, I'm talking about Moto, I'm talking about Brûlée, like you guys know what I'm talking about. But my problem with Brûlée is that because it is the only transition shade in the palette, I suspect that if I am going to hit pan on any shade in this palette, it is going to be Brûlée, because I have to use that shade every single time I do an eye look using this palette. So it really would have been beneficial. Honestly, I would have gotten rid of Moon Dust and just made Brûlée doubly tall, if that makes sense, like the size of Moon Dust and Brûlée combined. That would have been better for me. Or I would have gotten rid of Moon Dust and swapped it out and put in a matte cream shade. Either way, I could really, also Flush. Flush I don't really like either, because it is so pink and so lilac. It's also just not my favorite. Let me go ahead and swatch these for you guys so you can actually see what they look like on my skin tone. Here are all the shadows swatched on my arm. I'm of course, as usual, going to be posting a picture of these swatches on my Instagram, so if you want to see a picture, you can always check them out at my Instagram. My handle's at naturallybeautifulgirl. But I just want to point out a few things here. So the black shade, you definitely get the black, but it's not the most pigmented. I did try to build it up a little bit, but it's still, you can definitely see through it. Especially if you're a beginner, sometimes it's nice to have a black that's not like overly pigmented, because then you don't end up with too much on your eyes. This is Brûlée right here. So you can see that's pulling pretty warm on me. This is the shade Candlelight. As you can see, it definitely is a peach shade. This here is the shade Cameo, which is the highlight shade, and you can definitely see that it is pulling a bit pink on me. Underneath it, you can't really see it that well. You might be able to just see a little bit of glitter. That is Moonlight. And then I have to say that my shades over here have a little bit of glitter from Moonlight in them. So if they look extra glittery, it's because once I got Moonlight on my finger from swatching it, it was a little bit hard to get it off of my finger, so some glitter got into these shades. This shade right here is Truffle. I really like Truffle. It's probably my favorite like metallic shade in this palette. This one is Flush, and I don't know if this is picking it well on camera, but Flush and Cameo both look rather similar on me. Flush is definitely more lilac pink than Cameo, but they definitely both pull quite pink on me. Hopefully that is showing up on camera well. This is Smolder here, the matte deep purple, and then this is Dusk. It's a cross between like a rose gold and a copper shade. Candlelight and Truffle I particularly like buttery, creamy, metallic shades. Brûlée also is really nice. I think Cameo is a bit powdery. The shade Dusk is not quite as nice, not quite as buttery as Truffle, which is interesting considering they're both kind of shimmer shades. Smolder is quite nice, quite pigmented. Also Flush is quite nice as well. So here's all of them swatched. As you can see, it's definitely not a totally cool toned leaning palette. You definitely do have a mixture of cool and warm tones in it. My main problem with this palette is honestly the shade Cameo. If that did not pull quite so pink, I would be okay with Flush being in there, but because they show up so similar and pull so pink on my skin tone, that definitely makes it a little bit difficult for me to work with. What do I think about the performance of these shadows? I think they wear well. I think they blend well. I find them quite easy to work with. You do get some fallout from them because they are a softer pressed shadow. They aren't super firm, which I like. I do not like having to kind of dig in to get color. I like that you can get a lot of pigmentation very easily with these shadows and you're not kind of digging into the pans, but because of that, you do get fallout. I always tend to knock my brushes off before applying to my eyelids to just knock any excess shadow off, and that really does help me to prevent having a whole bunch of fallout. So that's my tip. That's what I recommend doing. Overall, I do like this palette. I do think that it is a nice selection of colors, especially if you are a more cool tone shadow girl. I can already tell that I'm going to like wearing this fall. For instance, I have on this kind of more vampy lipstick. This is Royal from Kosas, and I really like being able to have a more cool tone palette to use with those kind of more vampy berry lipsticks and blushes. So this is nice for that, but I think if you really don't like cool tone shadows, I would not go with this palette. I would go with the classic one instead. What's interesting though is I like this palette enough that I have been seriously contemplating purchasing the classic eyeshadow palette. I'm not entirely sure if I'm going to do that yet. We'll have to see, but it's definitely crossed my mind a few times, so it's something I am thinking about. So I am really happy with this palette, and I do really like using it. I've been using it for about a week and a half, 2 weeks now, every single day, and I do like it. Like, I enjoy reaching for it. I just wish that some of the shadows were not quite so pink. So overall, I like this palette. I think this is a quite high performing palette. If you like these shades, or these shades are something that you could see yourself wearing and using, I think it is worth checking out. I do think the price is a smidge high. If it were closer to like the $40 mark, I would say like, yeah, definitely like a good price point for the shadows, but $50 I think is a smidge high, but we've discussed why I think the beauty counter prices in general are so high. But hopefully you found this useful. If you do have any questions, leave those for me in the comment section down below. Stay tuned to see how I got the eye look I am wearing today in this video. And if you'd like me to do another eye look using this palette, also let me know that in the comment section down below. I'm just gonna jump ahead and show you how I got this makeup look. First, I'm going to begin by applying the shade Dusk to my eyelid using my MOTD Pigment Packer brush. Next, I'm going to apply Truffle to the outer third of my eyelid using the same brush. Now I'm going to apply the matte shade Brulee to my crease. This is going to be my crease shade, and I'm going to blend it out using my MOTD Blending Bestie brush. Now I'm going to take the highlight shade Cameo and apply it to my inner corner using the MOTD Pencil Me In brush. Now I'm going to take the matte purple shade Smolder and apply it to my upper and lower lash line using the MOTD Straight to the Point brush. To finish off this look, I am applying the shade Moondust, which is a glittery shadow topper, all over my lid using my finger. Alright, so I hope you found this video useful. If you did and you enjoyed it, be sure to give this video a thumbs up. Let me know if you're interested in seeing me talk about more beauty counter products. Also be sure to subscribe to my channel so you can see more of my content, and be sure to hit the bell button so you're notified of when I post new videos. And check out my Instagram. I'll have my handle down below. I'm at naturallybeautifulgirl. I'll be posting a picture of the swatches of this palette on my Instagram, and I post lots of other fun things on my Instagram, so be sure to check that out as well. And once again, thank you so much for watching, and I will see you next time. Bye!